Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is William Heineman. I'm your host, and you're at Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job. Hey, we have another DOJ report from Mr. Biscobee with Channel 15. This one here is excessive force. The Phoenix Police Department used excessive force? Really? Couldn't see that one coming. Welcome to the Wild Wild West, baby. Hey, real quick, guys. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell icon so you know when I put out a new video. Take and hit the subscribe and like button and the share button, and leave me a comment, please. Let me know how I'm doing, if you guys like these or not. Hey, real quick, two things. We're trying to change the laws, and the only way we can do that is if you guys help, okay? So the first one is a violation of oath of office taken by a public official should be a felony. And the second one is if an officer makes an arrest and charges you and the DA throws it out or dismisses it, then it goes back on the officer. Now, why do we want to do that? We do that because the officers now are using our arrests to further their promotions. I can't make this stuff up. This is crazy. And so what you need to do is get hold of your congressmen, your senators, your legislators, governors, mayors, city council members, and let them know you want to change the law or get a law going. I would say get hold of your sheriff and your police chief, but the problem with that is that if they're scumbags, it's a waste of time. You're wasting your breath. Oh, and when you call these people, be polite, be nice, be kind to them. They're just doing their job, just answering the phone. Okay, so don't be mean and nasty to them. So let's get on with the video. Here we go, and you guys can tell me afterwards what you think of the video. I can tell you what I think, and I think you already know what I think. So, yeah, here we go, guys.
Phoenix police fails to warn protesters.
SRP offers thousands of dollars in rebates through our efficient home programs.
The high five at Breck. 5 peaks all above 10,000 feet. 5 peaks.
Phoenix police fails to warn protesters before shooting stun bags and pepper balls at them, and targets protesters, quote, indiscriminately, instead of just going after the ones breaking the law. That's what the Department of Justice found during its investigation. I'm ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobee, and this is another story in our special series. We're breaking down the DOJ's report and turning it into video. Now, there's no doubt Phoenix has a lot of problems when it comes to dealing with protests. And in this story, we're covering the section about how officers retaliate against protesters by using indiscriminate force and how they brag about it.
Get on the ground!
When reviewing body camera video from protests, the Department of Justice wrote that they noticed a pattern. Quote, officers also unloaded projectiles on protesters after deliberately trapping them in a confined space. In other words, they boxed protesters in, then shot at them, and the DOJ report cited several examples. Here's one that resulted in a gruesome injury. It's a case we've covered since the beginning. On another night of the 2020 protests, officers shot less lethal projectiles at one fleeing protester, splitting his forearm open and breaking it. A Phoenix PD helicopter alerted officers on the ground that a group of protesters was running through an alley in their direction. 2 officers moved into position to confront the protesters as they came out.
Stop! Stop right there! Stop right there! Stop right there!
One officer pointed his pepper ball launcher at the protesters and ordered them to stop. 4 seconds later, the officer fired pepper balls at the protesters' feet and lower legs.
Get on the ground!
A second officer then shot an OC impact round at one of the protesters, splitting open his forearm. The protester sustained a broken bone that required corrective surgery. Hours later, Phoenix PD officers dropped him off at a hospital where they released him without any charges. The DOJ report says officers also bragged about using force on protesters and celebrated how many they shot and arrested.
The headlines have been fantastic, too.
In this part of the report, it notes how a sergeant bragged about boxing protesters in and how officers, quote, lit them up.
It was great because I timed that flank, and I when they ran this way, we just lit them up, so they came right back.
Yeah, and then like, dude, it was funny, like they're just getting drilled on the wall.
It was a perfect pinch, because they can't go anywhere.
The officer you just heard is Sergeant Doug McBride. He's the one who lied to a grand jury in order to falsely charge other protesters as gang members.
We got him. Jack him up, dude.
Now, here's another incident in the DOJ report. One night in 2020, a sergeant urged, "Let's jack him up, dude," as officers drove up to a group of protesters.
Yeah! Yeah! Where you go?
He then gave a celebratory yell, exclaiming, "Yeah," before he approached the protesters with his weapon drawn. Several people were standing in the intersection. They appeared unarmed and did not threaten the officers. The officers nonetheless pushed each of them onto the ground before handcuffing and arresting them.
Get back! Get back!
The DOJ report also highlighted Phoenix's controversial response to a downtown protest in 2017 after a rally for then-President Trump. Quote, Phoenix PD has long been on notice of concerns about excessive force against protesters and the chilling effect on speech that results. In 2017, officers gassed a large crowd of protesters because of the disruptive conduct of a small number of people. Outside the convention center in downtown Phoenix, approximately 6,000 protesters were demonstrating peacefully when a group of no more than 20 people began to shake a temporary police barricade. Phoenix PD officers shot pepper balls at the ground in front of the disruptive group, which then dispersed into the surrounding crowd. 3 minutes later, as some members of the group continued to be disruptive, officers threw tear gas canisters toward the crowd. While the disruptive conduct had been confined to a small area, the tear gas was not. Phoenix PD issued no warnings to the crowd until 16 minutes after releasing the gas. So back when all of these things happened, how did Phoenix respond? Well, for this one, the city found the officers' actions within policy. There's also an ongoing lawsuit. For the ones about the officers bragging in getting ready to, quote, jack people up, those were never investigated. And for the incident after the 2017 Trump rally, the city put together an after-action report. Records show Phoenix PD largely defended its response, saying protesters first threw the gas at them. But the city did admit it needed to improve warnings before gassing large crowds. Now, we've got links to all of this at abc15.com/DOJ. I'm investigator Dave Biskobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
So, as we see, our police department in Phoenix, Arizona is quite the hot spot for scumbag cops. Amazing. Guys, there are some good cops out there. There's just not very many of them. Most of them are just scumbags. But when you're a sovereign citizen, what do you expect? You just got to do what you want in the wild, wild west. We need a Will Smith down here. Anyhow, subscribe to my channel, and we'll catch you on the guys on the next one. Ciao.